Narayanam namaskritya naram chaivam narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamutirayet nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama sloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome everyone for today's Bhagavatam class. So, we are going to read from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 15, verse number 42. Tritve hutva cha panchatvam tak chait तक्षैकत्वे अजुहुन्मुनिः सर्वम् आत्मानि अजुहवेद् ब्रह्मणि आत्मानम् अव्यये त्रित्वे हुत्वा च पञ्चत्वं तक्षैकत्वे अजुहुन्मुनिः सर्वम् आत्मानि अजुहवेद् ब्रह्मणि आत्मानम् अव्यये. Synonyms: Tritve, into three qualities; Hutva, having offered; Cha, also; Panchatvam, five elements; that, that; Cha, also; Ekatve, in one-nescience; Ajuhat, amalgamated; Munihi, the thoughtful; Sarvam, the sum total; Atmani, in the soul; Ajuhavit, fixed; Brahmani, unto the spirit; Atmanam, the soul; Abhyaye, unto the inexhaustible. Translation: Thus, annihilating the gross body of five elements into three qualitative modes of material nature, he merged them into one nescience and then absorbed that nescience in the self, Brahman, which is inexhaustible in all circumstances. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. All that is manifested in the material world is the product of the Mahatattva Abhyakta, and things that are visible in our material vision are nothing but combinations and permutations of such variegated material products. But the living entity is different from such material products. It is due to the living entity's forgetfulness and his eternal nature as the eternal servitor of the Lord, and his false conception of being a so-called Lord of the material nature, that he is obliged to enter into the existence of false sense enjoyment. Thus, a concomitant generation of material energies is the principal cause of the mind's being materially affected. Thus, the gross body of five elements is produced. Maharaj Yudhishthira reversed the action and merged the five elements of the body in the three modes of material nature. The qualitative distinction of the body as being good, bad, or mediocre is extinguished, and again the qualitative manifestations become merged in the material energy, which is produced from a false sense of a pure living being. When one is thus inclined to become an associate of the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, in one of the innumerable planets of the spiritual sky, especially in Goloka Vrindavana, one has to think always that he is different from the material energy. He has nothing to do with it, and he has to realize himself as pure spirit, Brahman, qualitatively equal with Supreme himself, Supreme Brahman Parameshwara. Maharaj Yudhishthira, after distributing his kingdom to Parikshit and Vajra, he did not think himself emperor of the world or head of the Kuru dynasty. This sense of freedom from material relations, as well as freedom from the material engagement of the gross and subtle encirclement, makes free to act as the servitor of the Lord. even though one is in the material world. This stage is called Jivan Mukta stage or the liberated stage, even in the material world. That is the process of ending material existence. One must not only think that he is Brahman, but must act like Brahman. One who only thinks himself Brahman is an impersonalist, and one who acts like Brahman is the pure devotee. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य गणाञ्जनशलाकाय चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं तथाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. I seek the blessings of all assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis here so that I can speak meaningful for the pleasure of our deities, spiritual masters, and our deities, Shishi Nitai Gaurachandra. So, today we are learning, we are reading from the verse 42 in the chapter the Pandavas retires timingly. So, everything is coming from that one. Um, so modern scientists today they speak a lot about the theory of conservation of energy. So what is that means in perfection? All the energies are conserved in that supreme is a supreme personality of Godhead. So here it is explained how the original reservoir of all energies are coming. So Srimad Bhagavatam, we start with Janmadhyasya Yatoho. Everything is coming from one source. So Brahman, which we learned from this purport, Brahman means is inexhaustible. And it's also stated here Purnam. So what is Purnam? So we recite a sloka Om Purnamada Purnamritam Purnat Purnamad Purnamatach. So that we recite this sloka. So Purnam means it's complete. So we also have a notion to think that complete is limited. So let's say how Srila Prabhupada explains. Let's say if we have a $1 million with us in our bank and we start spending that $1 million from one transaction to other, it is going to subsequently reduce, and one day it will end up with $0. So complete means that even you after spending that $1 million in that example, it remains complete without reduction. So that is Krishna. So for Krishna, there is nothing going to be reduced. It always remains the Purnam. That is the completeness is revealed over there. And in the earlier days, formerly Brahmanas who are learned class of men, like Premananda Mataji, she extensively covered in Varnashrama distribution about Brahmanas. So their primary activity is like they learn scriptures and they distribute that knowledge of the scriptures to everyone for free. In today's world, it has become commercialized and business motive. So that's not the case in the earlier days. And the opposite of Brahmana is known as a Kripana. Kripana means miser. So miser means like one who has some money but he doesn't spend. He's always looking into what he has and he count every day multiple times. So that is a Kripana, miser. So Brahmana means that he learns the scriptures and he distributes the knowledge to others for the benefit of others. So that is the intention of a Brahmanas. So because of Srila Prabhupada's movement and the Brahminically initiated devotees, they go from town to town and villages to village. They distribute this knowledge to anyone and everyone without any discrimination to know about the knowledge of God. So that is the And that is the service that is even practiced today by the by the by the devotees who are Brahmanically initiated. It's not only to Brahmanically initiated, but Srila Prabhupada says that his intention to convert everyone into the qualities of a Brahmana so that they can go and preach and then tell about what is the real purpose of life. So that is the main intention Srila Prabhupada is talking, and especially to bring elevate everyone to the qualities of a Brahmana. Then it's very common in the United States, especially in the official motto. It says like, "In God we trust." So Srila Prabhupada says like, we do not know God, and the moment of spreading Krishna consciousness is to help everyone to understand God. And that is why the Brahmanas are going, their main occupation is to read the scriptures thoroughly and to spread that knowledge to others so that they know who is God and how to trust the God. So in today's world, leaders they don't know anything much about God, and it's just by the sloka they say that in the God we trust, and they take oath. But how is it possible if the leaders of the society they do not know anything? How is it possible for a common man to follow the leaders and act like that? So it is a very common thing. Like the people follow the celebrities and they imitate what they do it. And if we need to trust, we need to know the person. So suppose if you say, can you trust this person? Even before I trust that person, I should know who this person is. I have to establish the relationship to that person, and then I can think based on that I can trust this person or not trust this person. So if we need to trust God, we need to know God. We need to have the knowledge of God, which is very important. Prakritim Jantima Mikam, how the Prakriti, nature, comes back within. So the analogy what Srila Prabhupada is talking is about a spider. So the spider with its own saliva, it builds the cobweb from its saliva and it can wind it up. So similarly, the energy is concerned is conserved, but the material nature which is being produced is not eternal; it is temporary. The point of creation is coming from God. So similarly, when so let's say like this um, the spider which is creating its own web, like that web is not it goes to that place, it bees there, but it is only temporary. Similarly, let's assume the God who is creating, so Krishna who is creating this planet, this material world, this is temporary. It's similar to the spider web, and he can withdraw it anytime. Okay, this is being created. The design of the material world is a temporary nature, and it is for us to be here because we have the sense of false enjoyment. So for that aspect, this is being created, and it is also known as a prison house. So we cannot expect anything more in the prison house. The whatever that is, the prison house is meant to um, uh, uh, realize our mistakes so that we can get back from the situation and act accordingly in a proper way. So that is how it is. So the point of creation is coming from God for a specific purpose, and very common in those days. I don't know, maybe even today, like it says, like if everything is created, then God is also created. So God is not created. So in the material world we have the concept like every act, I mean like an activity can have like a creation, maintenance, and annihilation. So that's quite natural. So if the three stages in the process is involved, then it can say that God is also created. But technically God is not created. So the body, Srila Prabhupada is talking, the body which is created by a father and mother, and it undergoes a lot of changes in the process of a life, and it dies at one point of a time, one point in time. So in the material world, as we talked, material world, nothing is permanent, it's all temporary. The soul that is within the body, that is permanent. That is the conservation of energy, that is eternal. So we are living entity, and we are qualitatively one with God and quantitatively different. So we can speak about this qualitative and quantitative difference. So we are a small part and particles of God. So we have the big supreme, and we are a tiny, small, insignificant part. So similarly, if you have a big fire, we are considered a small spark in that fire, coming from that fire. So if you measure the quality of that fire, the quality is both are fire. Okay, so but quantity wise, it's a big fire, and we are a small spark. Similarly, if you take the drop of a seawater, ocean water, and if you taste that ocean water, you can feel the saltness. So, and the chemical composition of a drop of ocean water is qualitatively one and quantitatively different. So, this is well experienced in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy, Achinta Beda Abeda Tattva. So, what is that? Achinta Beda Abeda Tattva is it's simultaneously one and different. So we are one with God qualitatively and different quantitatively. Just because we are qualitatively one, many people say that I'm God, I'm equal to God, I am God. All those theories will surface. But we are different in quantitatively. So that is a very important factor that we have to understand. Also, this body is created by subtle and gross energy, and the total energy is God. So if I'm let's say example, if I'm being put into a body, if I'm put into the womb of a mother through the semen of a father, based on the work that I act. If I act like a dog, I get a body of a dog in the womb of a mother dog. Okay, so that is based on the work that I act. It is totally based on the work, the next body that we get it. That's how it works. The creation is a fact, and the creator, original creator, is God. That cannot be denied. So how these energies are coming from the spirit soul, the energy is coming. There are two kinds of energy that come from the spirit supreme soul God, and Bhagavad Gita talks about the varieties of energy. Bhumi rapo nalo vayu kammano buddhi revacha ahankara itiyam me binna prakriti ashtata. So there are 8 kinds of material energy, 3 subtle and 5 gross. So 3 plus 5 is 8. So which he talks about 3 subtle, which is mind, intelligence, and false ego, and earth, water, air, fire. So we have the 5 gross energy and ether. So among the gross, the finer is sky, which is the ether, which we cannot be seen. So we can feel, the sound that we perceive is coming because of the ether. So similar to that, the mind is subtle, and that is something that we cannot see. We cannot. It's not something tangible for us to really see it. So similarly, in the mind, we can understand how we think, how we feel it. Though even we cannot see that, we can understand what is going on in our mind, and how that is impacting our overall thinking and feeling. That can be understood. So behind the mind is the intelligence, and the intelligence And behind the intelligence is the soul, that is the orchestration of layers. But sometimes, most of the times, I don't even say sometimes, most of the time, the mind is becoming subservient to the intelligence. I mean, like, sorry, intelligence is subservient to the mind. Let's say an example. Um, um, we are having a, let's say we have a home program, and there are wonderful prasadam that is being served, and the devotees say so more and more. At one point of time, like we say, oh, we should stop, like we are eating too much, this is prasadam, but still we are eating too much. So that is the intelligence is saying stop, this is not good. But the mind is saying, oh, you will never get an opportunity, like this sweet and the varieties of the sweets offered in today's feast is really good, keep continuing, that. So the intelligence is giving you a factor, no, if you eat too much, it's not good for your health, that is coming from the intelligence. So most of the time the intelligence can be trumped by the mind. And so the orchestration of layers is like a senses, and then above senses is the mind, and above mind is the intelligence, and above intelligence is the soul, which is spiritual in nature. Achinta is beyond the conception. We cannot speculate. So there is no, like, it's not good that we can speculate who is your father. And in order to know who is your father, you should know from the authority is your mother. Like, you cannot speculate certain things. And things that are beyond our speculation, right? So let's say, like, so things that are beyond our speculation, we should not argue, or we should not question and act like a rascal. So that's what Srila Prabhupada says, like, we should we cannot understand what is God by mere speculation. And anything, like, if you see the past videos of Srila Prabhupada, or read things, he will right away cut if someone is speculating. And I have also experienced from my spiritual master, like, when you don't know something, and if someone is trying to say something in a speculative manner, he immediately cuts this and says, like, I think. Then it stops. You don't know, then don't think that, don't try to make something up and then give the answer. So that is speculation. So speculation, we cannot understand God by mere speculation. We have to know through the right authority. So how do we know that? So religion, so we are talking about God, and we are talking about religion. So religion means is a science of God, and it is not a sentiment. If we really want to know the science of God, we have to know from the authority. And the Vedic injunction is Tat Vijnartam Sa Gurum Eva Gachait. So in Mundaka Upanishad, it says that Tat Vijnartam Sa Gurum. So Guru is required. So we have to approach Guru, who is the authority for us to, who is the authority, and he delivers that knowledge. Which knowledge? Which is about the science, that is nothing but the science of God, religion, the science of God. He delivers that knowledge. Even for a material education, when you get into what sort of school, whether it is a pre-kindergarten or any or advanced studies, we need a teacher. So for material education, we need a teacher to know something. So similarly, for this, the science of God, religion, in order to understand God, in order to understand our position and all those things, we need a guru. And this guru has received, the guru means is a mercy of a God, and he has received this knowledge through realized knowledge. So it is coming in the disciplic succession through realized knowledge. It is not an material knowledge that we receive, like, somebody writes something and then we mug up. So it is not that. So guru means, guru is a mercy of a God. And God is always within us, within, is a constant companion. He is within us as a super soul. So he is constantly teaching internally, and Guru is teaching us externally. So Guru is also known as the external manifestation of the super soul. So this body, like inside the body, we have the soul, and then we also have the super soul. The super soul is watching us, is witnessing what we are doing. He don't usually involve into our day-to-day activities, but he's witnessing what we are doing based upon, and he is also sanctioning. And he within inside he gives us the teachings, like, and as an outside external manifestation of the super soul is the spiritual master or the guru, who teaches us and help us to understand the real purpose of a god. So Guru, the spiritual master, is as good as Krishna. So we sing in our morning prayers, sakshat haritvena samasta shastra yuktastata Bhavyate. So what is Sakshat Haritvena? Sakshat Haritvena means he is Sakshat Hari. So he is as good as Krishna. And what is his real position? Kintu Prabhu Priya Eva Tasya. So what is Priya Eva Tasya? He is the most confidential servant of Krishna. He is the most confidential servant. And Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vindam. I worship that most the person who is equal and as good as a Krishna, and who is the most confident servant of a Krishna. I worship that person. I take the shelter of that person. So that is very important. And Krishna never says that, the Guru never says that I'm Krishna, worship me. That is not the business here. So he says that I help you to take the shelter of a Krishna. So he always roots towards the Krishna. So that is the number one identification for us to easily find in this world who is a real guru and who is a bogus guru. And there are so many things that are available in the bogus platform. Like even today, like if you open any pages or organization, like you can really find a lot of um, false information and cheating things that are happening. Like people lost their life because of false gurus that exist in these days. So Krishna is very anxious, like every father who is very anxious in the family life, when our kids go out to a different place for education, like that is quite common, and it is very natural for a parent to be anxious. And Krishna is also anxious because his parts and parcels are somewhere struggling in this material world, and he wants every one of us to come back home. So, and he is more eager to bring us back home. And so we are all living here in the US, and many of us are from India, and we have, because of the roots in India, we have some properties and assets to be managed. And it's quite common in the legal terms. We have the power of attorney. We give the power of attorney so someone can act as an agent to take care of that and to take care of the business, so that is not interrupted, right? So Guru is an agent of a Krishna. The spiritual master is an agent of a Krishna to bring us back to the home, so that we can be rejoined with Krishna in our original state. So that is the present. That is the work of the agent or the Guru. So there is a chance. When we speak about the chance in human form of life, is very important. Like only in the human form of life we can understand the signs of God. So if in other species like cat and dog, it's not possible to understand the signs of God. So the business, say let's say an example, a businessman is creating a business. He opens a business. So in this body, like I open business, and when some trouble is created, right? So when in general terms, like a business, if they open the business and everything goes well, and when the business is in a very troubled state, it gets liquidated, like there is no more business. So the understanding is that business in this material world is always a troublesome, because the nature of the material world is dukkhalayam asashritam. It's very that nothing, every step is a danger. Like there's no way that you can say that I can orchestrate um, a lot of steps and do a lot of activities without any risk in this material world. Something or other will bother and will create a trouble. So we have and in the way in which we live in this material world is that we work so hard, but we cannot even take a dime when we leave this body. So this is, and this is quite natural. Like we cannot take anything back with us. And we also know the soul is transmigrating in nature. We have the wonderful Bhagavad Gita, dehinosmin yata dehi tata dehantara prati dhira satra na muhyati, right? So the sober man is not bewildered by the changes that are happening. The changes are constantly happening in this body. So we can experience, so as from child, youth to old age, and even in the current age, from today in next 2 months, I don't know how my body is going to act. Like there is a constant changes that are happening in our body, and the chance that is being given in the human form of life is very rare, and it has to be utilized. And if we fail to make use of the opportunity, like we remain as animals in the human form of life. The only way that we can do is through the holy name, which is a very simple and elegant process Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given to us. And one takeaway information that we can meditate is in this material world, only the holy name and the soul are spiritual, and everything else is material. Holy name is spiritual, and the soul, which is our real identity, that is spiritual, and everything is material, which is temporary, which goes. And finally, I would say that the best way for us to um, engage in this platform and continue to strive enthusiastic is to always remember, and how that remembrance come is we should always try to recall our interactions with Krishna or his devotees. So every one of us has some way of Krishna has personally orchestrated or given some sort of inspiration. Otherwise, we will not be here and sitting in this Bhagavatam class. So we have to count our blessings. It's a very common phrase, count our blessings. Recall those interactions deliberately, and that will give inspirations. I finally, I would like to quickly brief one realization that which inspires me a lot is in, I think in the year 2015, the time when we left Naperville and went to Chennai, India. So it's quite new with the ISKCON and all those things, because we started to know Krishna consciousness in Naperville Center, and then it's pretty new organization when we went to other part. Um, and so at that time, like we were invited for a Jagannath DT installation. It's not part of ISKCON at that time. The organizers were moved away from ISKCON, but they were doing some Jagannath installations. So we went to that installation, and many of the people from ISKCON were there. Like it's no difference for us, but I don't know what is the cost that they moved and they started a different temple. So it's a different place in North Chennai. So we went there, and many I know few people there, and they invited. They were doing Abhishek, and in Jagannath, the experience in Jagannath is like people go and hug Jagannath. So they also called me, "Hey Sridhar, come, why don't you also touch Jagannath?" I said, "No, I'm not initiated. I cannot really touch Jagannath." and that was my understanding, and I denied it and said that I will be outside and do chamara, and that's what I was doing it. And then I exchanged a number with my phone number with a person who was sitting next to me when I was having prasadam. So that person, I was also contemplating in my mind, really, they are calling me to do some service while they are doing abhishekam. So they and I declined the offer. I was contemplating about this much, and 1 week later, I got a call. I was about to go to work in the morning. Like, I got a call from that person to whom I have not established a good relationship, and he has some altar service in the ISKCON Chennai temple. He called me and he said, can you give me a hand? Jagannath is getting ready for Ratha Yatra. So usually in Chennai, like, the Ratha Yatra will not start from the temple. Like, it goes to a different place and then it finally ends in a marriage hall in a different place. So for that Jagannath to move out of the temple, we need a hand, and you cannot simply come and touch Jagannath. You have to do a sankalpa, and you should have a purification ceremony, which is which we do apavitro pavitro va yasmare puntari kach. So we have to do that, and I cannot deny this time. Even though I was contemplating in my mind, but Jagannath is again giving me a second chance, that he wants me to come and lift Jagannath so that they can be deities can be put into the van, so that that is the service they called. I was that is the one which gives me a lot of inspirations. I was many things like that. We should recall those inspirations. It is the desire. If you have a desire, Krishna will orchestrate. If Krishna has a desire, he will orchestrate so that you cannot skip his desires. So recall those blessings that we get in our life so that we can stay enthusiastically in this service. So thank you very much for everyone listening to this. If there are some discussions, I will be happy to discuss this with you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Guru and Gauranga.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept mine too.
Prabhuji, wonderful Prabhuji. It was very inspiring, particularly the last, interaction with Jagannatha that you had is so really inspiring. Thank you for sharing it, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Okay, if there are no more questions, probably we can end today's class.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for the wonderful class. I really liked your description of this verse.
Thank you,
and specifically the point that you mentioned that the holy name and the soul are eternal. I was also thinking on that question. This is just a question that would also the Dham and the Bhagavatam and the deities, so the 5 potent items that Rupa Goswami mentions, and the Vaishnavas, would that also be eternal, like the holy name? Like, I know Vrindavan Dham is eternal. But the emphasis is given on the holy name. I know that they say the holy name is what stays with us. But these other items also, I guess devotional service in general is also eternal.
That is true, Prabhu. That is my understanding also, Prabhu. But as you said, the emphasis is given the holy name and the soul, or they are not material. Everything else is material. So anything will connect with Krishna is not material. So that is the emphasis given, especially with the holy name. If you capture the holy name, or Nam Prabhu is more merciful. So there is no distinction between Krishna's name and Krishna. So that is the point, Prabhu. But as you said, anything connected with Krishna, like we can see how Vedanta Desika took the shelter of Krishna's sandals, and he composed 1008 slokas on those glorifying the sandals, Pataka Sahasram. So that is even a very more exhausted stage. So that is anything connected with the Krishna has that potency, Prabhu. Like as you said, Dham and the paraphernalia and the devotional service, everything is it. I mean, like it's not material and has and it has that potency, Prabhu. That is my understanding.
Thank you. Yes. Also, Krishna in the Gita, he's saying how any devotional service we do is always eternal. He never forgets it. In our next life, we start from where we left off.
Right.
So yes,
Prabhu.
that's a very nice point, Prabhu. Yes.
Yeah, that is a great installation process, right? Sometime when you install a software, we put some and then it crashes. We always have the fear that we have to redo the same thing from the beginning. So Krishna is so merciful that even when we crash, he helps us to resume at the point where we left. So there is no loss. That's thank you for bringing that, Prabhu. Lingaraj Prabhu, I think I took a lot of time. So today, if there are no more questions, is this a good place to stop?
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhu. Vansha kalpatarubhasya kripa sindhubhya vacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.